thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to pick up where Biao left off, so I'm going to use the distinction that you don't actually like, which I do like, to help set up this final panel. So a regime is a sort of an ideology, a rule, and we're going to think about government as administration. But the ideological category is not a descriptive category, it's a theoretical one. And the descriptive category isn't the extent of that which we wish to describe, because the empirical does not exhaust meaning. And so what I'm going to do here then is think about the antinomy of government and regimes. And hopefully by contrasting those two things with the concept of anarchy, we can get a sense of what it is that we're trying to study, which is regime. So perhaps that antinomy will set this the synapses firing in your mind. But what is anarchy? Just as a very brief intro for you before we get some really nuanced little answers over here. I mean, it's typically understood as that relation that pertains between sovereign states in the international system. A nuclear great power peace, for example, is considered an anarchy, and there are 163 odd states in the United Nations, up from just a handful before the First World War. But that's not the only place we find anarchy. We also find anarchy in failed states, no-go areas, borderlands, black and grey markets. We see anarchy wherever the absence of a monopoly of violence exists. So to use Max Weber's definition of the state, in the absence of a monopoly of violence, by definition, we have anarchy. Interestingly enough, recent research on areas of limited statehood has shown that up to 80% of the world's population cannot rely on a monopoly of violence. And that, I think, is a very striking finding, because anarchy, therefore, is ubiquitous. Not only does it structure the macro politics of world order, it is also the constitutive principle of the micro politics of most people's lived existence. So what does anarchism have to say about any of this, I hear you asking? How can I use this to learn something about regimes and states? Well, hold on to your hats, people. This is going to be exciting. So I've got Lara and Ince. So Lara Montesinos Coleman is a reader in international relations at the University of Sussex, and she has been pioneering post-Marxist, post-colonial accounts of the relationship between law and political economy for some years now, and has published widely in the area of critical security studies, social movement politics, and others areas. And her book, Struggles for the Human, was published by Duke University Press in January. And here, to my left, other left, both on the left one, is Ince, who's a senior lecturer in human geography at the Cardiff University, the University of Cardiff. There's always politics about which way that comes. It's very complicated in this country. Privoskel Cardiff. Okay, so Ince is at the forefront of bringing anarchism and geography together. He's been working very closely with people like Richard White and Simon Springer to interrogate notions of statehood, of territoriality, of place, of species, and so on, and how these interrelate in ways, how we can explain those interrelations without recourse to the state. More recently, he's published quite a lot of stuff, and is working into a project on the far right. His book, Society Despite the State, was published by Pluto the day before yesterday. So hot off the press, doesn't even quite capture that. So welcome to Exeter, and we're looking forward to hearing your presentations. Little round of applause.